The third part of the redox reaction videos relate the Gibbs free energy of the reaction to the standard reduction potential. To understand this, let's go back and calculate the work done when you move a charged particle through an electric field. The work done when you move any particle against a force F by a distance x is given by F dx. If the work is being done against an electric field, then the force is equal to the charge on the particle multiplied by the electric field, which I denote by this weird looking E, multiplied by dx. If the charged particle is going from point 1 to point 2 through a uniform electric field, then one can integrate this. And what you get is that the work done is equal to minus q multiplied by the integral of the electric field multiplied by dx, and this is nothing but the electrical potential difference between the 2 points. So this is the work done when you move a charge q across a potential difference delta E. From earlier, we know that the change in Gibbs free energy corresponds to the maximum non-expansion work that can be performed. In this case, this is equal to the reaction Gibbs free energy, and if this is occurring under standard conditions, then this is equal to Q multiplied by delta E. Note that in this case, if the process is adiabatic, which is usually the case because electrons move very fast, there is little time for heat exchange. This is also equal to the change in internal energy of the charge. What about units? So work is equal to charge multiplied by delta E. The units of delta E are of course volts. The unit of charge is coulomb. So, and the unit of work is joule. So joule corresponds to coulomb multiplied by volts. But of course the natural unit of charge is not coulomb. It is the charge of a single electron, which is equal to minus 1.602 multiplied by 10 to the power minus 19 coulomb. This is the charge on a single electron. So if you're moving a single charge, this is minus. If you're moving a single charge against electric field difference, electrical potential difference of 1 volt, then the work done is equal to 1.602 10 to the power of minus 19 coulomb multiplied by 1 volt. And if we write this in molar quantities, so on a per mole basis, then this becomes 1.602 10 power minus 19 multiplied by Avogadro's number, coulomb volt per mole. This product here has the value of approximately 96500, and coulomb volt is of course joule, so this is joule per mole. So this is the work done when you move a proton across an electric field difference of 1 volt. This quantity here, which corresponds to the charge carried by 1 mole of electrons, is called Faraday's constant, or F. And this here is the charge of a single electron. So the equation here can be, oops, I'm missing a standard sign here, can be written as the reaction Gibbs free energy of the redox reaction is equal to minus the number of electrons that are transferred multiplied by the charge carried by 1 mole of electrons multiplied by the standard cell potential. If the conditions are not standard, then this becomes like this. So for our copper zinc case, if we go back up, you can see that 2 electrons are getting transferred and the potential difference is 1.102 volt. So the standard reaction Gibbs free energy is minus 2 multiplied by 96500 multiplied by 1.102, which is approximately equal to minus 213 kilojoule per mole. So what you may have noticed here is that if you know the value of the standard cell potential, you can calculate the standard reaction Gibbs free energy. And since you can calculate the standard reaction Gibbs free energy, you can also calculate the equilibrium constant. So these are two simple applications of these standard cell potentials. You can also calculate entropy, because if you recall, dG equals minus S dt from the fundamental law of thermodynamics, which means S is equal to dG by dt, which is equal to minus nu f. And if these are all standard values, by dt. So you can essentially measure the cell potential at different temperatures and you can obtain the value of this derivative. So this will be a straight line, S versus E versus temperature, and then you can obtain the entropy. Sorry, ds is missing here. And once you know the change in entropy and you know the change in enthalpy, you can change in Gibbs free energy, you can also calculate the standard reaction enthalpy. Okay, so standard cell potentials can be used to calculate thermodynamic variables like the standard Gibbs free energy, the reaction Gibbs free energy, the reaction entropy, and the standard reaction enthalpy. The cell potentials can also be used to calculate activities in solutions, and we will come back to that later. But before that, I would like to introduce the Nernst equation, which relates the cell potential to activities of individual species in the reaction. So for example, if you have a reaction such as this, here the electrons are not being shown, but there will be two half reactions that have electrons. So assuming that this is a redox reaction, you can write, even if it is not a redox reaction, you can still write the reaction Gibbs free energy will be equal to the standard reaction Gibbs free energy plus RT log of the reaction quotient, which is given by the activity of C to the power of C multiplied by the activity of D to the power of D divided by the activities of the reactants. And this of course is equal to Q. So if I divide both sides by nu f, you can recognize this as the cell potential, and you can recognize this as the standard cell potential, and this as RT log of Q. So this equation relates the standard cell potential to the cell potential when you're away from equilibrium, or the activities are not the actual activities at equilibrium. And this is the Nernst